the CFP seems to be out of the question. Can they play their way into the CFP? No. Can they meme their way to the CFP? Probably not, but the Belligerent Beavs Podcast is going to try. This is episode 162 of the Belligerent Beavs Podcast with the king of memes guest hosting for us. Who is it? Find out after that intro music. Bom, bom.
Oh, nice. That was a good lead.
Thank you.
Now, can we introduce him?
Thank you. We absolutely can introduce him. Off 48-hour programming session. Reinventing computers. Reinventing the internet, actually. You know how you have those days where like, the internet sucks. Why do I have to spend so much time here? Everyone's so mean. Well, this dude's reinventing another one. Filling it. We're without Benjamin Lawrence Sebastian Wehage for a second week in a row. So let the rumors start that he might be buried in JP's yard. And our guest co-host might be the one who put them there. It's PM.
What's going on?
The digital jam.
I love my dogs barking the minute my wife shows up too. It's perfect. Perfect
I was like,
timing
did you plan that? Do you have a
No, I texted her too.
Sound bar that you just have ready to go every time you do a podcast?
I got two amazing corgis, but no, they don't know where the dead bodies are, so we'll just leave it at that.
Perfect.
And my lawyers don't know either, so we'll just leave it at that too.
You can't have any holes in my yard.
Where all the live bodies are, which throws off because people are like, oh, the dogs are going that way, so that's might be where the dead bodies are.
Can't have that. I will say I did not make any new internet browsers, and that's simply because I'm sure you guys haven't kept up with this, but there's been a couple that have been hacked lately. Right. And I'm just going to stay away from them because that's not good. Actually, I probably am going to use one, which is not going to be good. But no, a lot of other programming stuff. That's what I do. Love it to death, but I love my Beavs even more. So,
of course. So we're all here. The VP of Vibes and Community at Dam Nation, the Digital Dam. Follow if you're listening to this podcast.
That's the funniest title. Every time someone tells me that, it's so funny every time.
It's the best title.
It's so good.
It's like
so
being
good.
like the president of partying.
That's true. Because I told him, he was like, what do you want your title to be? And I was like, vice president of Vibes.
You write your own job description, you got to go for it.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's like that. I mean, that's small business life, right? You just like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not taking my title from anyone else. So I might as well just pick whatever the hell I want.
Right.
No, exactly.
Chief marketing officer has been played out. We need something different.
Chief. I did ask for Chief Vibe Officer. I did ask for that. I said CVO. I said, can we go with that? And he said no. I was like, all right, that's fine.
Yeah,
that's good.
Typical founder just earmarking that one just in case, right? He's like,
but I guess technically we couldn't have it because wouldn't we have to have a board legally then for that to be?
Sure.
We would need a CEO, a CTO, a COO. Like you would need a controlling board, and technically it's just me and Kyle. So like that would be
well. We've got two more guys ready to be chiefs here. Just whenever.
There you go.
What's the minimum? Chief Keef, Chief Kamachi, all
Chief Podcasting Officers.
All kinds.
There we go.
There you go.
That's so. I totally would have been a smart ass with it. I would have like sent in like proposed title like athletic director, just to make them reject it. And
just to confuse it completely.
Right,
no, fine. I mean, it was a no-brainer for me. Like it was just vice president of Vibes, and he's like, okay, what about like community at Vibes? And I was like, okay, that's fine, that makes sense.
They're one and the same, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
community vibes.
Can't have a good community without good vibes.
No,
and I mean it's really morphed beyond that. Like Kyle and I literally talk 24/7 about everything. And so I wouldn't even say that's really my position. Where it's really just co-founder and just guy who does everything digitally. That's kind of the way it looks.
Right.
So like he does everything in person. I do everything exclusively digitally related. So it's a nice 50-50 relationship on that.
For sure. Well, thank you for filling in somewhat last minute.
Of course.
We're overdue
man.
to have you on the podcast.
No kidding.
Right.
So I love this show. No, I'm excited.
So thanks for being here. What's new in the Damnation world, or just like what's new with like what you're up to? And we can probably make sense to plug a couple things right out off of the top of the show.
Yeah.
So if anyone who's listening who isn't super familiar with Damnation, you got a dope ass hoodie on, or just hasn't supported or doesn't know how to support, what can you point them towards?
Yeah, so a couple things. This one is kind of the newest thing we do. This is the Portland Gear Damnation collaboration. I'm not even joking, guys. It happened in like 48 hours.
Fuck yeah.
They reached out. They were like, do you want to do this? We're like, yeah. And like, cool, here it is, done. And we're like, sounds good.
Love Portland. And is that old school Benny on the sleeve?
Yeah, so it's the old school Benny right there.
Love that.
Terry
OSU in the block lettering. Beavers in the block lettering, and then they're Portland Gear. So they got the license for it, so we don't have to worry too much about it.
I've already ordered 1,000 of them. And
then this is like a suede material, so it's really nice. Cool. Yeah, and it's a solid fit too. But no, they sold out like in a matter of days. Like it was ridiculous. But we are restocking. I was telling JP this earlier. We did meet with them today. They are going to restock. I just don't know how quick it's going to be.
It's all right.
So
that's all we need to hear.
So yeah. Save that money. Wait for it to come back in.
Lil Dicky.
Yeah, it will be there.
Yeah,
Lil Dicky.
for sure.
Lil Dicky bought one. I saw him wearing it.
I did too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah. I miss him.
Yeah, pretty crazy. He'll be back at some point. He'll show up on like
what was the TV show? That was
Dave,
so good.
Yeah.
Dave.
I bet you
that was a good one.
Lil Dicky's not going to do anything for like probably it'll be like another year and a half, and then he'll just show up and have like a 28-minute long freestyle on Sway in the morning, and that will be
show up on like Love Is Blind. That would be the best.
Or he'll show up on Love Is Blind.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like the naked UK version of it. I don't know if you guys have seen that one.
I've seen that. I told you, Terry and Benny, to watch that.
Love Is Blind UK apparently is where it's at. I haven't tried it yet.
No, it's literally like that naked show where they like judge bodies, and then they're like, "Oh, is that what you're talking about?"
No, like it's literally like a love dating show, but everybody is naked and they all just hang out together.
Oh no, I've not seen that. I was thinking of the one that's the UK show, and they just like are in those tubes and they like slowly reveal.
And then you can only see like no. My wife loves those shows, but I saw a clip of like. Everyone's just fully naked hanging out together. And I'm like, this used to be like I Love New York. And this used to be like something wholesome. And now we're just like doing this. Like, what is going on here? Right. And I just to me, that lost me completely.
I Love New York. That was top shelf
fantastic
dysfunctional television at its finest.
It was incredible. Bring it back. That one and oh my God, what was the Rockstar one?
Rock of Love with
Rock of Love.
Fuck, why am I blanking on his name? Every rose has its
Brad. Something.
Brad Michaels.
Is it Brett?
Brett Michaels.
Yeah.
Brett Michaels.
Yeah.
Brett Michaels.
There's too many Bretts and Michaels that are also in the WWF or E, and it's just
of Poison. Every
yes.
Yeah. Rock of Love was good too. For sure. Love that.
Love it.
Is Damnation starting a reality show? We can table that.
That would be fun. That would be fun.
If there was a if you like got to like the option to participate on like a Netflix dating series, like a college athlete, that would be
disastrous.
But
that's a bad idea.
But it might be the best bad idea. Now I'm just workshopping this in my brain. We'll come back to it. JP, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm so glad I have my voice back. I don't know if it's all the way back.
Did you not have your voice
disappeared?
Last week?
No, I didn't have my voice. It just went away on Sunday.
Oh, okay.
I was in Black Butte for the weekend, and it was a wedding celebration. Shout out Katie the Goat and Funky Paul Molina, and we were getting after it. But I was like, woke up Sunday, felt good. I'm like, yeah, all right, let's head out. I'm cleaning up the house we were staying at. And then I start talking to like other people who are staying there, and I was like, I can't even say anything.
Did you
like,
smoke a pack of cigarettes after the reception?
No. I think I was like, the air quality was super bad out there in Central Oregon this weekend. We were out golfing. We went to Bend, went to Crux. I mean, we were everywhere, like outside all day. And I woke up Sunday, and it was like, I hope we're not recording tonight or tomorrow night because I can't speak. So I'm back. We're feeling back. Good. I might have a different voice forever now, but at least it's audible.
Sounds good enough.
All
you're
right.
still growing. Your voice is ever changing.
That's true. I am still growing. I'll be tall someday.
We are recording this on Tuesday night, October 15th. So if any crazy news comes out, Wednesday morning and the show hasn't dropped yet.
Yeah, we're off the hook.
Exactly. If
now it's going to happen.
If Memphis, Tulane, and UTSA join the Pac-12, 9 a.m. Pacific time Wednesday morning, then you heard it here first, or we had it first. We knew it on Tuesday. Time travel. Well, we got a lot to get into. There's a lot of feelings out there. There's a lot of anger out there. There's a lot of frustration. It wasn't the best weekend for the Oregon State football team.
Fair.
Heartbreaking result. Nevada coach low-key talking shit afterwards. If anyone caught that. Just a lot to get to. Things I think, part of the process is talking through it with your friends and your comrades and in orange and black. So that's what we're going to do here tonight. Let's do a quick beer segment first and raise a glass, and he's not here. So not raise a joint or raise a very noisily packaged like snack bar that he could have eaten for the 2 hours sitting at his computer before we started recording, but starts unwrapping the second you hit record, JP. Maybe next week when he comes back from the dead. But Jay, let's start with you. What do you have? What libation or comfort do you have with you this evening?
Yeah, I'll try to make this a quick one. But there's a beer. What do they call it? I don't know, like cellar or like some whatever. But they have it's like a mini mart on Northeast 42nd and Prescott, and they have a big sign. It's like beer fridge. And like clearly I'm like, okay, they must have a lot of beer. And so I go there on Sunday to be like, I'm looking for like a fall pumpkin-y beer to have on the podcast. And I've been there before, and it was like, oh, they had a huge, entire wall of beer that were local. And I was very disappointed when I went back on Sunday, because what I realized was the entire wall was just IPAs. Like the whole thing were IPAs. There was like a couple ciders here and there, but none of the ciders were like
fall ciders,
seasonal. They were just regular old ciders.
Lame.
So I grabbed the last like non-IPA fall beer, and it was like a fest beer, and it was really good. I don't remember who made it, but I drank it because I was like, well, I kind of want this tonight too.
Right.
So I already drank it, so I'm just having a Starburst. But
there you go.
Yeah, don't go to Northeast 42nd and Prescott if you're trying to find anything but an IPA. But if you're trying to find an IPA,
but
I'm sure they have it.
If you're trying to, or a double IPA, you could just buy two of them and then pour them together, and that's how you make a double IPA.
That's true. It is how you do it.
It is that simple.
As a professional brewer myself, which I'm not.
All right, so that a roundabout way to JP has his normal beer.
My normal thing, yeah.
PM, let's go to you next.
Good old water, baby.
Perfect.
Nice.
Look, it's like kind of glistening too. Like you see that off the light. It's super nice.
Right.
Yeah,
it does.
No,
nice.
I don't.
Good for
I don't
you.
smoke either. I don't do any of that stuff. I didn't really sit well with me. Didn't really react well to it, and so I tend to stay away from it.
Good to
but
know.
I love water. Yeah. If I'm not drinking water, it's probably going to be like a LaCroix or something like that, or just Diet Coke. I love Diet Coke.
Like almost water.
Yeah.
Right.
I do love LaCroix. Like I get the cravings for them like crazy, and I usually have a fridge here that's like stocked with them, but I go through so quickly that I just don't want to buy more.
Dude, my kids love LaCroix.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're obsessed with LaCroix.
But
and
you have to love as a parent. It's a way to like make drinking water fun. Like, hey, open this thing that looks like a soda.
Look at this sink. Look at the dispenser in the fridge. This is water as well.
Right.
I don't have to spend like
and it's
70 cents a can on it, and then you guys leave them all over the house without any sips taken out of it.
Oh, that's the worst.
It's just, I do that way too often. I get about halfway full, and then it just sits there. And then my wife makes the comment of like, "I never finish them."
Gotta do it. Well, I was hoping you'd say that, PM, because I actually am switching from the usual beer tonight. I don't know why I kind of was out of beer, so I had to make a switch. Because we are miracle workers here at the Belligerent Beavs Podcast, and it's going to take a miracle to save the season. And so where PM is drinking water, I'm taking that water and I'm turning it into wine.
Wow,
and
that
having
was
a
great.
wine drink.
Was waiting for that.
And
Waiting for that to drop.
Exactly.
Wow.
Cabernet Sauvignon from Sandpoint Vineyards, to be precise. And yeah, it's adequate.
I hope we're
There you
not
go.
being sacrilegious right now.
We're
I
not.
think we should like credit the creators of wine.
Sandpoint.
Okay, good. Yes, good job, Sandpoint.
But that I magically created it, and it just happened. It's like when you magically create Coke, it's still Coca-Cola. You can still credit the curators.
I'm going to thank my fridge.
Exactly.
With water. That's what I'm going to thank.
Well, it's not a sin to cheers with water. That is a common misconception. So let's all just.
I agree with that. That is such a dumb idea.
Raise our glasses.
That's considered a sin. I had no idea.
Sometimes, people will say it's bad
That's
luck to
weird.
toast with water. But what else are they going to take away at this point? So cheers away, PM. You're good.
Heard that, and maybe it was said to me one time when I didn't have a beverage, and I was like, "Oh, cheers!" And I grabbed my water cup, and somebody said it to me, and it's like been ingrained in my brain ever since.
The other one
weird.
is that I do believe is it's bad luck to cheers with an empty cup. Like if you're completely empty, that makes more sense. But like, I've had people call for like toast, sometimes where it's like at weddings and like wine hasn't been served yet or something, so everyone just has their water glass. Anyway,
sometimes I'll just do food.
Whatever. It's a way to, even if it's a way to reverse jinx it. So we lost to Nevada this week. Now we're going to beat UNLV. UNLV. Wow. I'm half a cup of wine. I'm talking fancy already. Oh, hey.
Damn, that's some strong water.
If they will lose because of the magic that we are putting out into the world here tonight. But yeah, so
I love my superstitions.
Exactly. We'll get into
inventing them.
We'll get into this into predicting week's game against the Runnin' Rebels later. But guys, we've got to talk this 42-37 loss in Reno, one that you somewhat predicted, JP. I know you're not here to say I told you so, because I know you took no joy in it, but
no,
just want to present to all the listeners and the haters who live in our YouTube comment section. Can't imagine not having anything more interesting to do with my life, but sometimes those people find a way to be there. A split on this. We two of us predicted this loss last week, and we still got called homers. Can't control that shit. But
someone told us that we need new careers.
Right. No, I like this career too much. We're making too much money.
Yeah.
Why would I do a new career?
Right.
Yeah. Bankroll.
Yeah, exactly. You're an honored guest, so let's just start with you. Just sort of kind of like the initial takeaways from this game, this 5-point loss to the Wolfpack.
Sucked.
In a word, it sucked.
I haven't felt that level of like just, I don't want to say anger, but like just sitting there and being like, what is this all worth? Like, what is this? Like, what's the point of this? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I haven't felt that since 2017, 2018, maybe. Like, I think the first year of Jonathan Smith, we were kind of like, oh yeah, we'll get blown out by Ohio State. That's fine. Like, we don't care.
2018
right?
was
but
like house money. Like, it didn't matter. This,
it just, and like, I think there's two things for me. Because one, I do need to personally take a step back because now I have a relationship with a lot of these kids, right? Through the collective, knowing who they are. And so I try to be very aware of that when I have these emotions that pop up, but I'm also a super fan, right? And I really react to these things.
Right.
And so
president of vibes, if you will.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. The vibes are off, man. The vibes were just off. And it just felt like every time the defense came on the field, I just remember sitting there just going, here we go.
Yeah.
And that's what it felt like. And I haven't felt that way in so many years. And it just felt like it was, it almost, and this is going to be completely unfair, but it almost felt like you just undid everything that happened in the last 4 years, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's not fair at all. Like, it's not rational because that's not the case at all. But in that moment, it felt like everything you worked for up to that point to rebuild the culture back just got stripped right under from you because you lost that game.
And I don't think that's totally irrational because I felt that exact same way when Smith bailed. And so that's just kind of like the other shoe finally dropping. Like all of that, like the things that added up to this defeat like this, it wasn't like their preparation after the Colorado State game. Like it's like this to a team you should beat and they were still favored to beat was set up months and months before. And you can even say like going back to summer 22 when the realignment snowball really started rolling. Yeah. But I'm with you, because if you, at the end of the day, if that record is 5-1, even knowing the flaws in the W's, it still feels a hell of a lot better.
Oh yeah. I mean, Washington, they went to the title last year and they barely survived like 4 of those games, it felt like, right? So, you know, there is a thing about surviving in advance, but I mean, I think in the moment it was just frustrating, right? Like I remember just like taking my phone, just throwing it to the side and being like, this is stupid. Like, but this is so stupid. You shouldn't be doing this. But then, as always, you take a step back, you look at this from a 200-foot view, and you go, okay, 17 injured players. Nevada really isn't that terrible. You know, they hung in with SMU, they hung in with Minnesota. They were going to get one of these eventually, and like you kind of start talking your way back a little bit. But yeah, in the moment, I think it wasn't the pick six that broke me, because the pick six was tough, right? Like that's the one everyone kind of points to. For me, it was that last quarterback run where they scored, where I just sat there and I was like, oh my God, you literally cannot stop them. Like you cannot stop Nevada right now. And it just felt demoralizing. It felt like you just watched Gary Anderson's team go out there against Portland State, right? And it was just like, what is happening here? Why is this not working? What is going wrong?
Yeah, that fourth quarter was brutal. And I think that was the summation of everything that you guys have been saying, like things that were set into motion months ago that I think this team did a good job of avoiding a confrontation with up until this point. Like they had won the games, however not pretty they were, that they're supposed to, and then they lost the game that they were, favored to lose. But this was a clear indication that, this is a first-year coaching staff. This is a completely rebuilt team. This is a team that lost, however many starters on both sides of the ball after last season, yet still carry rightfully, I think, high expectations into this season, and they were delivering on it for the most part up until that fourth quarter. And that's where it all looked like, we might be good enough to do what we want to do with our, starters essentially. But when it comes to going 2-3 deep in the depth chart, we're not ready yet. And this is just an indication of a lot of growing pains of having a lot of new players involved and in new schemes with new coaches. But it was painful because it's almost like at a certain point, I think, so like when Hank got his last touchdown, that's when I was like, maybe they can pull this off, and everything that seems to be coming uncovered right now will be forgotten, or at least ignored for the next 7 days. But as soon as they just came back essentially and got that big run, it was like, okay, no, what just happened was essentially they've figured out how to beat us, and it was with the run.
Which is not something we're used to over the last few years.
I mean, we were up 2 scores in that third quarter after the halftime, and I think everyone in Beaver Nation let out a collective relief of like, okay, we adjusted, right? 17-14, scary first half, road environment's weird. It's like a high school stadium. Everyone's injured. We don't know what's going on, but we adjusted. Now we're up by a lot. Things feel good. And then it just didn't continue that way. And then you just kind of sat there and you were like, oh, no, this is going to be a shootout. Like, we're not going to be able to stop this. And it just became really uncomfortable. And I think, the turning point for me was when you got the onside kick, because that was huge. Like you just admitted that you couldn't play defense, right?
But it was also a great kick.
and it was a great kick. And then you follow it up with 3 plays that just made no sense. Run up the middle, a pass play to a guy covered by 3 people, 3 and out, done. And it's like, at that point, all momentum's gone. You just lost all of it. And I almost would rather have wished coming out of that, they just took a deep shot first play. Even if you don't get it, just let them know, like, no, we're here.
We're trying.
And you know, yeah, we're going to try this.
That's where I think I
did bring that up last week.
We did. Yeah, we
Terry,
did.
if I can interject. I had mentioned that, and we had a pretty lengthy discussion that the offense seems to be evolving for the better. It's becoming a little bit more balanced. I think I saw Dashiell's article said that we're still 63% of our play calling is still running plays, even through the 42 attempts that Vonnie had last week. But the problem really was that he was hitting short routes. He was hitting Walker, you know, making crosses or outs. And it was not like anything that was stretching the field, you know, like, and so defenses didn't have to really worry about that. And I think we did see that a little bit more. And that to me was like a plus.
Sure.
But we didn't really see it until it was desperation time. Like, it would have been great to try to strike when you'd flip momentum off an onside kick. I mean, that's where I not the time to play it safe. It was a free possession, essentially.
That's when I thought that they'd try and get Card going with something. Like, he didn't have a catch, he didn't have a rush. You know, the targets were up a little bit for Darius Clemens, but I criticized Gundy last week after the Colorado State game when Clemens didn't have a target until less than 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter when they were trailing. I know that not everyone can get the ball. There's only one ball and there's a lot of players. So we do need to give props for, I think, Jermaine Terry getting involved in the offense. I believe it was the first play of the game. That was just a quick, 19, 20 yarder to JT that, you know, makes the defense respect the tight end position as, like, this guy is maybe not just going to sit here and block the whole time.
Yeah, that was huge. Did you see that Bray did comment on that?
Mm-hmm.
He said that Gunderson and his staff has made an effort to include the tight ends, and that we're finding unique ways to get them involved. So, again, growing pains. I think we maybe had expectations that this would all be set in stone as the season started, and as fairly or not, that is.
Right.
Like,
and I mean, it's
clearly things are evolving. 9
starters being replaced, and a lot of them are young guys. I think maybe there's equal parts frustration for things that I think are valid to be frustrated about. But then I also think an easy-ish schedule lulling us into a false sense of security, giving us a 4-1 record that maybe allowed to, you know, have expectations maybe higher than they should be, given everything that was taken away and everyone who left and kind of the fallout of that.
Yeah, and everything that's happened now since. Like, I don't know, PM, I think did you post about it? I don't know where it originated, but it was something with the of our, like, too deep. We were 16, kind of 17, missing from Saturday's game across both sides of the ball. And hold on, I think you're on mute. But anyways, I think it was a clear indication that we just didn't have the personnel.
Sure.
I mean, I'm not gonna. You can't throw the blame towards injuries, of course, but I think it's a good explanation as to why all of a sudden it felt like this team was trying its best to just hang on, especially on the defensive side. But again, I don't know. The defense hasn't looked as unstoppable as it once did. I know there's not.
No, not at all.
I mean, there's not like the same amount of defections, but there's a lot of big defections that we lost over the course of the year, and of players in the NFL as well.
Right.
But there's a lot of stalwarts that are back, and a lot of people that I think we put a lot of trust in, and they've shown flashes of brilliance. And I know that they're consistently very, very good. But I think it's the body of work of the defense has definitely left a lot to be desired this season.
Lots of guys out injured.
Yes.
I mean, a backhanded shout out to Andy Alfieri, who got 3 tackles. Wasn't the lowest tackling player game, got multiple tackles. And is a tight end. So when I said use the tight ends more, I didn't mean this. That's not hating. I know they have to. I know the injury bug is real. I'm just frustrated, so I'm making jokes. Laugh with me, Beaver Nation.
I did.
But so like they all, an effort thing. It's, there's 2 parts here. The injuries are bad. They had so many guys missing this week. At the same time, in now 5 games against Power 5 opponents, save for the San Diego State game, which I think was fine from a final score standpoint. I don't want to just stat react here, because obviously sacks and interceptions can be misleading statistics, but you also don't want them to be like the best team, the best pass defense, the best secondary in the NFL is never the one that intercepts the most passes. It's always the one that allows the fewest, right? Or around those lines. But in 5 games against FBS teams, we've generated 2 sacks and an interception. Like, that needs to be higher. We're not playing the greatest show on turf out there in these 5 games either. So it's just...
But that doesn't matter if they're going to only throw the ball 13 times and decide, oh, yeah.
Sure, that's part of it. But just there's... it also speaks to the run defense, like that those opportunities aren't there at all.
Yeah.
If we want to just look at a thing like, oh my God, only allowed 51 passing yards in an American football game in 2024, they must have had Ed Reed out there. We did not, unfortunately. But yeah, so I guess it's hard to provide even accurate analysis on a defense that's that decimated. But also, I haven't been over the moon with the defense we've been watching. There's been injuries all season. Jaden hasn't gotten to play enough. A lot of new guys. We mentioned this when Bray got hired. Bray now is responsible for the whole show. He's not just responsible for the defense anymore. And that happens. That's a concern when you promote a stud coordinator to the big boy chair and he's not just the head of his department anymore. So I guess just like, how do we even look at this defense given all the injuries that took place? But at the same time, it's mid-season. You've got another good offense coming to Corvallis this weekend.
Yeah.
Like where is your head at with just kind of like what we saw? Like, are there even adjustments that can be made?
I mean, I think the best, like I've heard this so many times, but I think it rings true that the best ability is availability, regardless of, whatever you do, right? If you're not going to be available, then your abilities mean nothing. Having 17 people injured on the defense is just an astronomically high number, right? It's almost your entire front, pretty much your first deep, and then part of your, like almost most of your second deep, just gone. And I mean, you saw it with Andy Alfieri coming in, who he did play outside linebacker at Cal for a bit. He was recruited as an outside linebacker, so it definitely wasn't like a weird transition,
right? But
it's one you really don't want to make. I mean, Bray in his post game interview said that they started working on that on Wednesday before the game because they needed it. So definitely was tough. But I'm torn because I'm not necessarily in love with the way the defenses look schematically, but I'm also of the opinion of what you have guys out there that are not necessarily the first team, right? And like, these are young guys, Dexter Foster is a true freshman playing, from Central Catholic, right? Like, he doesn't have the time to sit there and learn it, right? And Jaden Ivey's been doing okay, but not to the level that we all wanted him to be. I mean, Kobe, I love Kobe, absolutely hilarious, but he's barely played that many snaps, and that's tough. And Jaden's been out. So you just start going down the list of all these guys that are just out. And it's just like, it's kind of a no wonder why this defense hasn't been performing great the last 2 games. Really, going forward, the best thing is going to be health. It's just, can this team get healthy?
I agree. And I also think that anyone that's like looking at the defensive play calling and, wanting us to ramp up the pressure or stack the box or whatever kind of adjustments they're clamoring for, I think you have to look at this the same way we've seen the offense grow, where it's like we had all of this new personnel and everything looked very vanilla and everything was very straightforward. There wasn't a lot of trickery. There wasn't a lot of things that would push people's comfort levels with what they're capable of doing. And then it's slowly gotten there. And I think we're starting to see that. But now we're almost like resetting to like Idaho State level offense on defense because we have so many people in there and we're presumably trying to figure out what kind of personnel is going to work with what kind of scheme.
I mean, it sucks. It sucks because the entire Jonathan Smith tenure was like, towards the end of it, it was like, I guess in the beginning, it was like, oh my God, we have this great offense, right? Like it's humming. This looks really good. We're scoring 37 points a game, but we're giving up 50 points to Colorado State, right? Like this sucks. You fire Tibesar, you bring in Bray, and we're like, defense and offense. Here we go.
Right.
It's coming together. And then you have Lindgren going, yeah, we're only going to score like 13 points going forward. And you're like, okay, well, at least we have defense. We might not have a quarterback that can throw, but we can have defense. And then you bring in this explosive offense, and you're like, great. Now we have this offense, and we have Trent Bray who's leading this defense. We're gonna come together. No, there's no defense, but we have this. We've never had it just come together and just be together at the same time. And I think that frustrates me the most is because we all expected Bray to come in and that defense not to miss a beat, right? Not miss a step at all, play at a higher level, but that's obviously not the case. And I think that there's going to be a lot of shootout games going forward if this defense can't get help.
Take kind of on that right now too, just sort of like processing the 6 games we've seen, and there's 6 more to go at least, hopefully at least one more than that. I think Bray will be here for a long time, and I also think you ask people the importance of having whatever your version of success is this year, like the importance of that. I think you get a bunch of different, answers. I don't think it's necessarily that important for Oregon State football to put together a 10-2, 9-3 season this year. I think short of going undefeated and forcing the committee to put you into the playoff, the greater college football community just doesn't give a shit. And Oregon State football having an 8 or 9 win season this year is not something that's going to be brought up at the negotiations table when trying to find our last, like an 8th full member of the conference. That's just not something that's going to be talked about. So I think now we talked about this in the Sun Bowl a little bit last year. Like the opportunity is see what these young guys have. You might take it on the chin a few weeks the rest of the season, but I think Bray and Hayward and some of the other guys on the staff are for sure going to get more than 1 year. Like this isn't a Chicago Sky situation where you say we're rebuilding and then you give a coach 10 months and then say, actually, just kidding, we're going to go with somebody else. Like we know this coaching staff for the most part will likely be in place next year. So I don't even know if I want to see like win now adjustments when it could be, player development adjustments. And like if Dexter Foster is going to make more mistakes than the next guy, like I still want him in there because I think his ceiling is higher. Like I think we are at a point where we can fully revert to that mindset.
I think there's 2 things I want to kind of bring up about that. I think the first one is the mindset of like the 10-2, 11-1, 9-3 thing. I think that was purely for, can we get a Big 12 invite? Can we be in the spotlight enough to where you simply can't ignore this, right?
Sure. You
can't ignore Oregon State and Washington State thriving on all levels. Like we're going to force your hand. And I think the minute the Pac got announced that's coming back, I think those expectations just got pulled back.
Sure.
They were like, all right.
For fans, it's been a hard thing to let go of.
Yes, definitely. It definitely has. And I think I'm one of those fans, and I know that's, my fanatic.
To be clear,
take.
I'm not advocating for losing games, but there's just multiple strategies here.
That's the thing is like, I do want the younger guys to develop, and I do want them to get playing time because I do think in 2 years it'll definitely turn into something. But one, you don't fucking lose in Nevada. Like you just don't. Yeah. I'm sorry. You just don't lose in Nevada. Your third string should be better than their first and second. Like it's just, that's how it should be. And 2, I want to win I want to win every game. So
Yeah.
I don't care what it is. Like when we go into it, I don't want to like leave that game feeling like we lost. And so I'm always going to go into it completely irrational. This UNLV game, they can't stop us. That's how I'm going into it.
Let's go.
Rock and Reeser, 7 p.m. kick. Defense will be back to its normal self. Student section will be packed under the lights, bright orange. Like that's the kind of vibe.
A real under the lights. A full game under the lights.
None of that like after the third quarter, okay, now we're under the lights and we're playing Maui Cyrus kind of things, right? Like no, from start to finish, it's going to be bright orange in your face the entire time.
I mean, would anyone truly be surprised if we saw a fantastic performance out of Oregon State football this weekend and they beat UNLV at home? Like, it's college football.
No.
This shit happens.
It's college football.
And also, this shit has happened to this program specifically. It's giant killers. It's literally the brand. Not that UNLV is a giant, but it's like, lose to, Stanford, like a mediocre Stanford team, and then you beat number 1 USC. Like, it's just kind of a thing that's happened. It's been the biggest frustration with Oregon State football for decades, that it's like when they've had those big upsets, they weren't able to completely put it together and win all the games they needed to really be in the picture.
Yeah.
Starting that game under center for Oregon State is Gevani McCoy at quarterback. And fan of that. I like Gevani a lot. I think at least one, maybe two of the 4 picks in this game weren't his fault. The one,
one was a Hail Mary. It's not really.
Yeah, that's the other one. One shouldn't have even been a play because it should have been a touchdown. And I'm not
should have been a touchdown.
going to blame the officials for this. Like, you could. What is it? It's been a while since I made a Game of Thrones reference on this show, but when Tormund Giantsbane says Stannis' armies cut through us like piss through snow, that was Nevada's rushing defense running backs running against Oregon State's defense.
How do you remember this many things from Game of Thrones? I feel like it's such a blur to me.
Content.
Like,
it's a great show.
I felt good watching it, but I don't remember anything about it.
I remember everything about Tormund Giantsbane, JP. Everything. But it's like that was a touchdown. That was a horseshit holding call, and then a little bit of bad luck on the interception. So I know people want to look at 4 picks, say unacceptable, which it is. But again, it's like I think we need to have some patience here. Gevani won the job out of camp. There's been more good than bad from him, I would say, from him in particular. And you got to see how he reacts. It's like when. You have a young pitcher give up, leave one, high and over the plate, and it gets blasted out of the park. You don't pull him right away. You'll want to see how he reacts. You want to see if he can grow. And I don't put the game last week on Gevani. I think he, like a lot of players, could have played a little bit better, but you don't pull him in a situation like that. But I mean, because we have a talented backup sitting there that people want to see, and the most popular guy on every football team is always the backup quarterback. So I understand people's excitement for that, but just where you guys at right now on Vani? And Bray already announced no, he's our guy and he's starting, but I really hope he doesn't throw an interception in the first quarter or ever. But like a first quarter interception would be, you would just be able to feel the mood shift at Reeser.
Oh, yeah, no, you would. But you're not even in that game in the last play if it wasn't for Gevani.
Yeah, that last drive,
that drive just for the touchdown to get it within, and the defense couldn't stop anything. That was all Gevani. He made plays left and right from throws that I hadn't seen since, I guess, Jake Luton made a couple of those throws, but those teams were getting thrashed anyways. But it was a long time since we've seen those throws, and he's not the issue. I do not subscribe to the idea that he's the issue right now. It's just nothing on the offense is the issue to me. I can't remember the exact number, but I think we scored our highest point total against Nevada this year so far
in regulation.
The offense has been humming. It looked great. The pass game is finally there. Receivers are getting the ball. Tight ends are getting the ball. He's making the right reads. Wasn't pulling it as much as he was because I do think he was banged up a little bit. But he's been exactly what we needed for this team. Granted, he's not the playmaker that I think everybody wants, if that makes sense. I think they want like the Caleb Williams playmaker that's just going to go out and like dominate a game, right?
I do think it'd be great to have the number 1 pick in the NFL draft
Me
playing
too.
quarterback for us.
And like,
That's
I love
a good
Bari.
strategy.
Bari's a great dude. I love Ben. Ben is a fantastic guy. I don't think any of those three are doing it. Like I'll be honest with you, I don't think any of them are doing it either. Like, they're not stopping the run defense. Like,
Right.
It's really, to me, it's kind of a moot point to even like throw Gevani's name into it, because 2 of those interceptions, yes, were tough, but the ethos of this team is running the ball and controlling the clock. And when you are playing from behind because your defense can't stop anything, you are going to force more things. And when you force more things, you'll probably get more turnovers.
But that's also why he had such a great, at least, line, right? I mean, because he had the opportunity finally to let it loose. And I was wondering how this team was really going to look playing from behind, consistently from behind, not in like, some sort of like punch out game where it's like, I'm up, you're up, I'm up. Like, oh no, we're clawing back. And who are we going to rely on? And if we can't use the passing game to get a quick strike, to move the ball quickly, then we're going to be in for like a rough, clawed out kind of game if we can even make that an opportunity. But I think that Vonnie showed that this week. Obviously 300, almost 350 yards, the 2 picks, whatever, or something. And then the other 2 were not really on his hands. But what I loved was, again, getting tight ends involved, distributing the ball over the field. We had 4 receivers with 5 or more receptions. 3 of them had nearly 100 yards each.
Yeah,
and those 3 also had big plays. They had receptions of more than 30 yards. So all of that put together, to me, is just like the kind of that been like, I just need to see that it exists under Vonnie.
Yeah.
And now I'm a believer in it. But again, I think maybe it was because he's banged up, but I would have loved to see him keep the defense off balance a little bit more by keeping the ball and running it. He did that far less, but I think the game dictated it. Though I think there might have been opportunities to be like, all right, if they think that I'm going to take this on first down, I'll throw deep. And then we'll get them.
It would be
over the top.
I feel like it'd be cruel to pull a kid immediately after like the first game you were truly explosive on offense and had.
Oh, there's no way I would ever advocate for pulling him.
562 total. I know, but it's what the fan base is talking about, and that's doesn't have to.
It's what I think like a vocal minority is doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
because again, like you said,
on this.
Everyone's favorite is the backup quarterback. Right. I think it's going to shake everything up, right? Like it's that you can bring in Tom Brady on that quarterback. That's not fixing that run defense, man.
But
like,
even when you look at everything too, and I know like the game's not played on paper and analytics aren't everything either, but it's just like you have 562 total yards, 75% success on third down, going 12 of 16, only 2 accepted penalties against the Beavs this week for 15 yards, where Nevada had 6 of 69. Like so many.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. I mean, like it's. I'm not going to say that first quarter Hank touchdown that got called back, which would have given Hank a 4 touchdown day, would have been nice. That is this difference in the score, like that they threw a interception on the next play, so it's just and everything would have been different after that. But I just think we're having a way different conversation. I mean, 35 first downs, and like you mentioned, throwing for almost 350. I think he's, we're maybe even seeing that like it maybe took this long to get Jermaine Terry involved because, getting a quarterback comfortable with different position groups, can be.
But I think they need him to block. I think they need the tight ends. I mean, they need the tight ends.
They need the tight ends to block, but it's just like, Noga had a really nice game, and had one of those big plays and developing more and more of that kind of, like, I'm nitpicking by saying I wanted Zach Card to get more touches when, Walker, Noga, Terry all had explosive plays, and then Clemens had 5 catches as well. So it's just, there's something being built there. And you needed one more play on the defensive side to get the job done.
Just one.
Maybe a couple. I mean, but
that's why the onside kick frustrated the absolute hell out of me. That following possession, I mean, you got your turnover. That was your turnover to even the score, right?
Totally.
You got it, and then you came out and just ran the worst 3 set of plays that you could have ran at that time.
Right.
And it just took all that momentum away immediately.
That was, yeah.
I think we perfectly recapped it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like hung our heads at the exact same degree.
We all felt it on that third down and completely were just like, oh, wow.
Here's a thing that I do think matters, and this is an Oregon State show. But I was watching the game at a sports bar, and after it ended, I just, was like, damn, fuck. And I put my phone in my pocket because I didn't want to see what Twitter was saying. I didn't want to share any of my immediate thoughts with JP and Benny because I've caught myself saying some ridiculous things at times, only a time or two. It's never been more than that. And then I just looked to the TV to the left, and
I have receipts. I
saw Oregon end up closing the deal against Ohio State. And I do think
in the dumbest way possible.
I'm so glad I did not follow that game at all.
I know, and I'm not trying to force you to follow it.
Forgot
but
I was even on.
I do think it does cause a different sense of reaction through the Oregon State fan base, because like it's almost unavoidable right now that Oregon is in the Big Ten and they are good. We are not, and we are not. And I think that is making people more mad, more reactionary, less reasonable. And I don't blame anyone for being more mad about it. Like, this sucks. Everything sucks. Dating back to June 30th, 2022. I will never forget that date and how mad I was, and how I think I ended up on like 4 different spaces with you PM on that day just to talk about what was happening. And I think we probably predicted that a day like this would happen, where Oregon gets what's seen as a keystone victory, while at the same time, it would have been way less cruel if that was happening in Reno at noon, and then 7 hours passed. I had to turn my fucking head, timing. And it's just the football gods being like, hey, still disappointed about your team? Look what I'm about to bestow on the team you fucking hate. Enjoy it.
Yeah, like asshole. I had the Beavs on my TV, and then my iPad on the left had the Duck game. I really didn't even watch it. I was just glancing to see the score, like, to see if the Oregon would be losing. And then, of course, Hail Mary fails. And I'm like, I sit there and I'm just like, dude, like, come on. Like, my first thought is I'm not even going to open up Twitter, because I know my mentions in my DMs are just going to be Michigan State fans, Nevada fans.
I don't know how
UNLV fans, Oregon fans. Oh, the mute function is glorious. I'm just going to throw that out there. It's fantastic.
I use mute a lot, but it's wild how many people, like, in other fan bases who weren't involved with the game or involved in any even adjacent game where see it and instantly be like, I need to be in Digital Dams mentions right now.
Yeah. And like I do a great job of just like tuning it out. Like, there's a lot of things I just post and I'm like, this is going to get a reaction. I'm like, I already know this is going to do it. I'm just not even going to look at this. Right. Yeah. Like, I did it today with they announced that they're changing the NCAA rule because of the Oregon thing that they did with the 5 men the 12 men on the field. And I retweeted it and said, Oregon's been cheating for a while. Right. Like, I said that. And I knew the minute I sent that, I was like, I'm not even going to look at this. I think I had like 50 mentions. And I'm like, nope, not opening any of these. I'm good. Not going to look at these. But no, I look to my left and like I'm thinking, oh, I saw Ohio State driving. They should be in a position to win this. I look over and I see Dan Lannon just like, yeah, and I'm just like, I just slammed the iPad shut and I was like, this is fucking stupid. I was like, this is so stupid.
One of the worst college football Saturdays, like, collectively in a long time.
It was terrible. At least Cal went 0-3. So for Twitter, for me, that was great. I didn't have to deal with them. So.
I can't believe there's like even half a dozen of them on Twitter, because that's pretty much 100% of their fan base.
They blew up, man, but they have lost 3 straight. So that went right off the hills. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, which does bum me out, because it's just like how much fun like Marshawn Lynch is. And like, it could be so in Cal's fan base, I know we're playing them, but I feel like in another world, maybe where the conference stays together, that's just kind of like the wazoo of the Bay Area for us, where it's like, when we're playing you, we fucking hate you. But like, otherwise, like, we're not the ones who are like getting like gifts in this conference. We're fighting sort of the same uphill battle. Like, That's just kind of like, like a blue wall of some kind of Cougs, Beavs, Bears going up and down.
Differences though, like Pullman and Corvallis love their teams, and there ain't nobody in the Bay that gives a damn about Cal football.
Right. But the ones who do show up generally are the same vibe of people I want to hang out with.
Sickos. Yeah. True sickos.
Who are mad about game day making a big deal about going there for the first time. And was like, why the fuck weren't you here when we had Deshaun Jackson and Marshawn Lynch on the same college football team? And I have the same question. That would have been a perfect time to go to Cal back in 06. Those teams were sick.
Yeah.
They were sick.
Yeah, they were
anything we should all right, look ahead to UNLV.
Wait, I got a question. Does anyone know why ex-GOAT intern Max Walker took that second onside kick and not Everett Hayes after being so successful with the first one?
I just think they wanted to do it.
Just something different.
I also hate that they ran it and then they called a timeout and then they ran it again. I don't know if you noticed that. They got halfway through it, then they called timeout, and then they did it again, and I'm like,
That's the Jonathan.
You know what's coming, better get it.
That's the Jonathan Smith, Atticus Sappington fake field goal.
Yeah, fake the field goal, timeout. Okay, cool.
A fake field goal that they knew it was coming twice. They saw it coming, and they were bailed out by a timeout. And then the next time, he was like, "This is just crazy enough to work. I'm already going to East Lansing. I don't give a shit."
Such a classic example of them overthinking the overthinking.
Right.
There's no way they think we're not going to run here. So we're just going to do a play action deep bomb to a short receiver and hope this works. Nope, didn't work. That was the perfect way to explain it.
Who could have guessed?
Should we do a quick revisit of the preseason predictions?
Yes.
And PM, you're gonna have to own Benny's prediction,
or you can just improvise your own. I feel
it's probably close to mine.
It probably is. So he had a bit of a close one here. No surprise. The three of us all predicted wins against UNLV back on episode 155. I had Oregon State 30, UNLV 27. I'm going to bail on the exact score, but I'm going to bet on Oregon State winning. It's going to be 40-37. I'm just adding 10 points to each team. There's no way Oregon State wins a game. If any game that hits the under, Oregon State's not winning. But they have a chance.
Our last 4 games have been the over.
There's a chance with the over. What is we opened as 7.5 point dogs. We can talk about that. Now it's
7 point.
Now it's down to 7.
Is it 7 point now?
It's 7 now, and the over.
It started at 5.
Over under is 61.5.
Yeah.
I've got.
I think people are reacting to the injuries. I think that's what they're doing.
Bet the Oregon State money line. Bet the over, and thank me. Bet the over for sure. Oregon State money line. Maybe just Starbucks money for this week and not the mortgage money.
I don't know. I guess wait to see what the injury report looks like.
We won't know that till Saturday, probably.
Well, yeah, but I mean, then you put in your bet once you see who's out.
So
I guess that's true. If the defense is entirely out, bet the over.
He did say that there will be a few more people back for this week in his press conference.
All right.
So
thank God. It's like
you can tell based off of his pressers, he's not going to tell you who.
No, at all. Bray doesn't share anything, which is almost. He's a sports writer covering Oregon State daily. I know how that would be annoying, but also as someone who covers other teams, a coach who does just stick to their policy. It is kind of nice where it's all right, they're not going to say fucking shit. When coaches do the thing where it's I might tell you who's injured or I might not. Then it's all right, now I just have to do a guessing game. Now I have to come to every availability. Yeah. Now I have to ask you about this. Bray.
And I love the fans that are no, you owe it to us. We're spending money. And
that is something the coach does not owe you. No. He
doesn't owe you anything.
It's like that Tom Segura bit, to be a good dad, don't abandon your kid. And that's it. To be a good head coach, he has to not quit on his team. And he's clearing the bar that's been set for him. I hope he does a little bit more than that. But Bray does not owe you detailed injury report on Wednesday, Beaver fam. I'm sorry to
he
say.
doesn't.
If you're
All
a
right,
fan,
so
you're gonna just go. Get your
40
ticket and go.
40-37 Beavs win. Come for me in the comments, YouTube.
You're way
haters.
over.
I don't know.
Yeah. Get a new career, Terry.
I like this one. JP, let's go to you. You
Make it quick.
You did predict the unpredictable, but the very predictable because it happened. Oregon State losing at Nevada. But then
Okay, come on, move on. Let's talk about UNLV.
you predicted us to lose 24-21 specific. You predicted a 34-17 win during episode 155. Oregon State holds UNLV to 17 points. I will start the Oregon State to CFP belated campaign right now because that would be incredible. But
Better get to work.
and
Yeah, I'm betting.
the same one, the same scoreline,
Yeah, what did I say? 34-17?
34-17.
Yeah, that's still under. So, yeah, I'll take the under, and
The
I'll
under,
take the Beavs.
the money line,
Yeah.
and the original score, 34-17.
In my original score, I'm betting.
Right. It's supposed to be fun, people. We're
You can
having
bet
fun.
your mortgage
And you
on
can
it.
bet your mortgage on 34-17. Find a
Yeah.
bookie who will take that exact score. Subbing for Benny. Benny picked a 34-31 win. So Oregon State
I
outright.
kind of like that.
And just
That's the over.
a few points over. How do you feel about that?
I think that's fair. I think UNLV is really interesting because with Sluka as their quarterback, their offense didn't look as explosive. They had issues. Incoming, the quarterback that I can't remember his name, all of a sudden it seems like they found their groove offensively, right? Defensively, in the last couple of games, though, they've looked pretty suspect. They've let up a decent amount of points to Syracuse and Utah State.
Yeah.
And I don't really classify Utah State as a road game. I'm just going to be honest with you. I know their student section was packed. Like, you can look at the photos. They're awesome. But I think I think this being a 7:00 homecoming night game in October for Oregon State is all that matters.
Right.
Don't care who the opponent is. It's just weird things happen, man. Things do not go the way you want it to go. You are a team from Nevada coming up. It's supposed to rain that night. You're going to be hearing a lot of chainsaws. You're going to be hearing a lot of screaming fans, a lot of Miley Cyrus, a lot of orange. Like, there's just going to be a lot going on. This isn't playing in the dome, right?
Right.
We're not playing in a dome here in a safe environment in your little safe space. This is going to be a raucous crowd. And so I don't think UNLV has played that this season. Like, I'm looking at the schedule. They played in Houston, Kansas, and Utah State on the road.
Yeah.
Houston is terrible. Kansas fans don't care. Utah State doesn't matter anyways, right? This is going to be their first true road test, and I do truly think this team is going to be up for the task. That being said, they're not going to be able to stop shit defensively, so I think 34-31 is great. And I think this is going to be a great game.
Right.
I think it's going to come down to the end.
That's a great point on the UNLV defense. Like Syracuse isn't awful, but you gave up 44 points to Syracuse.
Yeah.
I gave up 34 points to Utah State and still cleared by, multiple touchdowns, but the Beavs are going to score points in this game. This is this is going to be another track meet, and just with a few more horses on the defense, and the ball bounces our way a couple other times. And yeah, I think the point of this being the first tough road atmosphere they'll face is a good one. Though Sam Boyd Stadium used to be a fucking pit where UNLV used to play.
A great host for the XFL.
Mhm.
I went to that game in 2009. Good Lord, that was an awful stadium. I met some very lovely UNLV fans, and I had a very nice time, as I usually do in Vegas. But that stadium's not in Vegas. It's very far away. The stadium sucked. But now they get to play in their perfumed NFL dome, as you mentioned.
It's a great stadium.
Allegiant's great.
Yeah.
That Vegas Bowl was super fun when we beat the fuck out of Florida. We don't mention that enough.
We don't.
Yeah, we don't. That was a great environment, man.
We should mention that Oregon State beat Florida 30-3
shutout.
As often as the
First shutout in like 16 years or whatever the hell it was.
It should be mentioned as often as it's a great time to bring up that Oregon State has made an Elite Eight more recently than Arizona has.
Yeah.
It also should be good to mention that Ben Branson was the MVP of that game.
That's right.
Was.
Yeah. He was in control.
Yeah. Ben Branson torched Florida.
Yeah.
Ben Branson torched Florida. Zero context.
Dr. Ben.
Yeah. A better game against Florida than Tim Tebow ever had for any game for Florida.
Fair.
Ben Gulbranson is better than Tim Tebow in every way. That's
Every way.
the moral of
Yeah, I don't think anyone can make an argument against that.
Yeah.
Anything else on this upcoming homecoming game? Are either of you going?
On the fence still.
Okay.
It's tough, man.
No. We have
late
family in
one.
town Saturday.
It's a late one.
I was hoping
that's a tough
if
one.
it was at least in the schedule, it originally said 12:30 or 7 or whatever.
7:30,
12:30 or
7.
And I was hoping it was gonna be 12:30. That
12:30 or 7:30 is such an aggressively vague listing.
Yeah.
That's like saying it's
Yeah.
tomorrow or June.
I want to go because I know this atmosphere is just going to be like insane, right? Like this is going to be the game that's probably going to have a ton of passion, a lot of fans, a lot of students. It's going to be kind of raining, a lot of orange, night game. It's a lot of fun. I cannot be driving home at like midnight, man.
I know.
It's
brutal.
just not going to happen.
We need more hotels in Corvallis.
We do need more
Jensen.
hotels in Corvallis. Yeah, can we
If
get
you're gonna do anything, Jensen?
He's not going to build a new
Just build
stadium, but can he
hotels.
build some hotels? But it is one of those games that, like, because I think if you beat Nevada and you lose to UNLV, no one's really freaking out. The manner in which
I see where you're going
they
with this.
happen, but it's like, so it is one of those games that does feel like, and unreasonably so, but does kind of feel like a season saver. Like if you're 5-2 going into Cal next week, it's like, okay, yeah, we have a chance to flip this. We have bye week separating quadrants of games this season. So if you go 3-1 in each of the first two and you're sitting at 6-2, you feel pretty good. So beating UNLV, if it's a close game in the fourth quarter, like it's going to be intense. And
If we can't pull this out, which I did not predict this time, note that. But if we don't pull this out, like I did have that feeling yesterday thinking about the rest of the season of this team, and I go, is it going to be even too much to ask for 2, maybe 3 more wins and just get a nice, secure bowl eligible season?
I mean,
because I think this game tells us how many more we need to even get to that point. And it also tells us, will we be able to get to that point if we can't pull it off?
Right.
I think it tells us a lot.
Because, I mean, I think no matter even what happens over the next 2 weeks, we're better than San Jose State and better than Air Force, who looks
definitely
awful,
better than Air Force.
which is Air Force looked great last year. But
the question, though, that I had was, if we even are at 6 wins, with those 2 being our next 2 wins or final 2 wins of the season, does a bowl committee come calling on that?
if you're 6-6,
I do.
If you're 6-6, I think, yeah, because there's not going to be.
But do we still have the same affiliations or anything with the?
They can't.
I can't remember.
By being football bowl subdivision and being 6-6, there's not enough. There's almost no way that would be possible for Oregon State to be passed off for a bowl bid, like entirely.
Because they had a partnership with another 6-6, and there was another 6-6 or
there's even like,
teams.
but we're now at the stage now where like
we get a lot of 5 and 7.
5 and 7 teams are getting bids from for like the 5 and like the 4, 5 and 7 teams with the highest GPAs get bowl bids, but those teams can't go to bowls before 6-6 teams. So like,
I think they would get one.
If we could get someone on a bowl committee to come and just like be on the podcast and be completely open about how they feel about Oregon State, that would be great. I think I parsed through the tea leaves enough last year when the Sun Bowl committee talked about it, how it's the most excited they've been for the Sun Bowl ever, and then only mentioned Notre Dame for a 30-minute press conference. Like, I got it. And then I watched the game and I was like, yep, I can't blame you on that one. But yeah, that would have been that's what pisses me off, because those remember when bowl games all mattered, or they're at least like played like they mattered? It wasn't even that long ago.
It wasn't.
It was like 10 years ago.
It's sad.
Where like no one opted out. Coaches didn't leave early unless you were Brian Kelly.
Then in that case, there's like being bowl eligible and then not getting a bowl really matter if that did actually happen?
In the grand scheme of things, no, it doesn't.
Because I mean, you're still 6-6.
It ticks. If you want, we do want morale in the fan base to be as high as possible.
Yeah, you have to be bowl eligible,
and that matters.
That's fair.
As far as like actual like corporate discussions about like the future of Oregon State, I think if you're not in the college football playoff, then like what's actually happening on the field, doesn't matter, because if that is what mattered, we wouldn't have found ourselves in this realignment hell in the first place.
I do agree. Like, I think just from a perspective, you need to at least be 6-6. That needs to be the disaster scenario.
Right.
Yeah. 6-6, bowl eligible. You play like UTEP and like the Digital Dam Shrine Bowl, right? And it's played in like Lincoln High School Stadium, right? Like no one cares.
What's stopping
just get 6-6.
You from
Boom.
having sponsorship rights of the Shrine Bowl? PM, come on.
I want to do a Digital Dam Bowl, but I want it to be the 2 worst teams in college football, and I want them to play in Reser. That is what I want to happen.
Yeah, you get to come to Corvallis. It's 46 degrees and raining constantly. It's December 12th.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You don't get to go home for winter break.
Enjoy Corvallis.
I think a lot of people would watch that. I think you get a bunch of 0-12 or 1-11 teams that come out and play. I think people would watch that
tournament.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It'd be fantastic.
Best of the worst.
We're figuring shit out.
I'm looking at the schedule, like with Cal coming the week after this one. I'm not gonna lie to you. Cal plays NC State. NC State was ranked at the beginning of the year. They've kind of fallen off a little bit. If Cal loses that's 4 straight losses for them. And that thing is coming done quicker than anything else at that point. Like that thing is not holding ship if that happens. If you can beat UNLV, I mean, you realistically would have a chance to get to that 9-win mark heading into Washington State still. And I think if you're 9-2 going into that, I mean, if you're a Beaver fan, you're like, yeah,
let's ride. Hell yeah.
This is great. Like, I mean, sorry, at 8-2. If you're 8-2 going into that, you're like, this is fantastic.
I mean, if we're 8-2, I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
No matter even what happens.
But in the moment, losing in Nevada, everything crumbles, everything sucks. This is not worth it.
But if you beat UNLV, it just reverses, because I think if this had been what I think was reasonable, a win at Nevada and a loss to UNLV. I mean, if you lose 60-0 to UNLV, it feels different. But just say it was like a normal loss, you're like, all right, well, it's still,
especially like a ranked UNLV if they didn't lose.
With how good Boise's looking, that's kind of the only game, especially that being on the road day after Thanksgiving at 10 a.m. local time. It's just a weird game. Yeah. But that being a weird game, it's like, does that help the road team maybe a little bit? That's the one where I'm just like, we're going to need magic. We're going to need something extra.
Yeah.
But
we'll need the defense back for that one.
But that's what I'm saying is that's at the end of the year.
17 guys getting ready to come back.
You have 7 weeks until that happens. Like, there's a whole bunch of times for things to happen. Like, Ashton Genty's killing it, but man, you got 7 weeks of film coming up too, right? Yeah, and you got time to really prepare for it. And it's a weird kick, and it's after Thanksgiving, and it's just weird things can happen, man.
So I don't really know the answer to this, but I'm just proposing the idea. But would you, let's say we pull off 3 straight, especially UNLV, and we're like, okay, we're feeling good, we're back in the win column. How many of those 17 guys are you back pocketing for your final game?
San Jose State's pretty good. They have a really good passing attack with Nick Nash at receiver. I think you got to be careful with that. Air Force is just god awful, man. They are just not good. I think you can win that one and be fine, but
I think if you beat,
I don't know, man.
I think if you beat UNLV, you do need to invest yourself to try and win as many games as you can. I think I'm arguing with myself from a little bit earlier in the show.
Right, but what I'm saying is, like, if you beat UNLV and then you also somehow win 2 of the next 3 after that, or all 3.
We never lose at Strawberry Canyon, according to Mike Riley.
Alexis told us that Mike Riley told him that.
Right.
Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott.
I think you just gotta act like every game matters. I think at this point, I think that's the best way to do it. Like, I don't think this team is going to look at any future games and go, yeah, we need to prepare for this, right? No. I think they care about beating UNLV. Then next week, they'll give a shit about beating Cal and then beating San Jose State. I mean, I just can't see them shutting things down for Air Force, especially if things are rolling. I just think you got to roll with it and just go.
Just go through it.
This game now feels huge. I feel like I started the show being like, it doesn't matter what happens, player development. And now I'm like, we have to beat UNLV or I will be sad until this weekend next year. Fan. That is the life.
I will not let my team affect my mental health.
Yeah, right.
Is what everybody says.
What we say.
Hours later, it does.
Having a mental breakdown while in a Upper East Side sports bar while the Beavs lose and the Ducks win, and then you just look to the sky and say, "Why are you doing this to me, God?"
I used to feel like I was overreacting. Was it Benny? I think Benny bought us these mugs like 10 years ago.
Oh yeah,
they're black and orange, and they say, "Yeah, my favorite football team makes me sad." Yeah,
right here
there it is. I think they're Bengals.
Mine broke in the mail, so it's always been my pen mug. But like, yeah, nice. The handle broke off. He mailed it to us. I don't know if Benny said he didn't mail it, but then when I saw it arrived broke. Like, I think he just like put it in an envelope without padding or anything like that. I tried to drink coffee. I was like, well, like, do I really need the handle?
It might work.
And then I put my hand on this, like the side of it and burned it. So I was like, yeah, this is a pen mug from now on.
I used to drink that after, like, on Sunday mornings after every Oregon State loss, just to like rub it in my own face.
Yeah, because I mean, I think he sent them before his first year in 2018.
Yeah, it was still GA era, man. It was a long time ago. But anyways, I moved on from that. Yeah, I moved on from that. I will not let myself sulk, except for this weekend is huge. So let's win this one.
Not to overstate anything, but we have to win this game.
Yeah.
It's about homecoming. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's also move on to some shout outs.
Let's move on to some shout outs. One particular, a certain goal scorer keeps moving up charts. Do you want to tell us more about this, JP?
Yeah, I do. Our dude, McKenna Martinez.
Hell yeah.
Got a goal in the 73rd minute.
Corvallis Morgan.
San Diego State. Yeah, or San Diego USD. But I still love that name. To help us really cap off a 3-1 victory. And that put her in sole possession of third place in the program's all-time goal scoring list.
Hell yeah, McKenna.
32 goals in her career at Oregon State. She's just behind Val Williams, who has 34. And then she's going to have to go on an absolute tear to catch Jody Taylor, who's in first all-time with 47. But if she can do it, she can do McKenna. I trust Kenna to do that.
McKenna, PM, I'm glad you're here. McKenna Martinez, needs an NIL deal with M&M's. Let's make that happen.
Yeah.
Well, she can. We can figure it out.
Let's get a McKenna Martinez 10-story billboard in Times Square above the M&M's store,
big old M&M's.
Where I think Oregon put the Joey Harrington billboard.
Yeah. And we'd be like,
yeah, no, I think we should definitely do that.
Second all time.
Right.
Leading
M&M and then an M&M.
Yeah.
M&M wrapping on top of an M&M with M below it.
Right.
Oh, I love it.
Well, yeah, McKenna Martinez and M&M should both be in the poster, or in the picture.
Yeah. And M's.
And with like dumping things of M&M's. Kenna is kicking one of them into a goal. Is kicking one of them into a goal where M&M is playing goalkeeper.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Here. We're right here.
Yeah. Yeah, hire us, Kennedy.
This is like season 3 of Mad Men. Yeah, we won't even charge $20 million. Oregon's charging you $20 million, $19 million. Saving you money already. Wyden Kennedy.
19.9.
More like Wise and Kennedy. Because of how wise you are.
I'll take that $20 million.
To hire us.
They can pay me that $20 million. I'll take that extra million.
Right. For oversized rubber duck, Jesus. $20 million? No.
Yeah. Fucking stupid.
Good Lord.
Whole thing. But I get it. It worked.
I don't have the exact figures in front of me, but Stephen Kwan got 1,000 hits in the American League Division Series, leading Cleveland to the ALCS, where they are currently
they're getting mollywopped.
down 0-2 to the Yankees. That game ended as we were recording. Yeah. God damn it. The Yankees are 2 wins away from the World Series. That sucks. But hey.
And they're kind of beating them up too. Like they haven't really been close.
Well,
they need to let Quan pitch.
They need to let Quan pitch. They need to call up Bazana, which they can't, but they should, even though they can't. They won't.
Try.
They should. They're not allowed to, but
he's Davis Bozono. He's an American from Texas.
And he's clearly there on the playoff roster. He's been there all along. Anyways, believe in miracles, Cleveland. This is just like, they did make a Major League 3 after all. I was about to say, Major League 4. Major League 4, fuck the Yankees. That's the subtext.
That's perfect.
PM, do you want to give a shout out to anybody? Anything else you want to plug before we get out of here? This episode 162.
Yes, we are officially representing 2 volleyball athletes in Vivian Light and Lauren Rummel.
Nice.
So I just want to say a shout out to them. That's awesome. It's great when we have representation. That is awesome to see. We have a couple more sports announcement that we're going to do probably tomorrow when this comes out. That's basketball related for Maxim Logue. I think I'm pronouncing that right. The French power forward, and Nate Kings. And there's a really beautiful story between those two that I think maybe you guys can go explore about how that process came to be between those two. But let's just say one of them sacrificed a scholarship for the other one. Wow. And so it was a really touching story to hear. And so maybe we can figure out a way for, you guys to get him on, because I feel like he can definitely explain that. So
that would be amazing. We'd love to.
Cool.
We'll do it right now. Not right now because it's late, but
I'm going to bed now right now.
Exactly.
And here they are. Right. They're joining us to PM. You can't go yet.
Opposite of a shout out to everyone who votes in the men's and women's basketball AP polls for not ranking Oregon State in the top 25 in either men's or women's. Hey, just bulletin board material for Wayne and Scott. The infuriating thing about the women's basketball poll is you can't really go down. It's just like, all right, South Carolina, of course, defending champions. And then pretty much stop at every other team who has a player from last year's Oregon State Elite 8 team.
Yeah.
And that's just, it's fucking annoying. But hey, I'm in Scott. I trust the process. And
hell yeah.
I have full belief that they will put an amazing product on the court once again, and then we'll be following them deep into March. And
definitely.
Wayne, it's not. I was gonna say
what?
16-21. It's not 26 yet, but maybe. So
break the cycle, Wayne.
Break the cycle, Wayne. Why wait 5 years when 4 will
idea.
Do? So if that's where I'm at on all the Beaver fans who just want to fire Wayne all the time because it's always been a head coaching thing, clearly, you gotta give Wayne 2026, given what we got in 16 and we got in 21. If that's just a thing, if it's like every 5 years, say it's guaranteed, say it's a crystal ball, and it's like, every 5 years you get a tourney run. I'm taking that.
You fire me, you lose 2031.
Ooh.
Would you do it?
No.
If
it's guaranteed second round or more, 31 with 20.
Is it ever guaranteed? This is March Madness.
I want it every year.
Every year, but if I know that every 5 years, then whatever. We're not here to we're not
deciding his fate tonight.
We're not deciding Wayne Tinkle's fate. We love Coach Tinkle. And everyone's very rational about Oregon State men's basketball as they are Oregon State sports all the time. And that's why we love this community. We love this fan base. PM, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
Crazy to think that there are Beaver fans who don't follow you, but just in case some of them don't, who aren't on Twitter. We do have a good section of listeners who aren't on the main, town square of social media. Where are all the places that our listeners can find you?
Yeah. If you are a normal Beaver fan, you can go ahead and stop the podcast here. Don't follow me. We're just going to stop that right there. If you don't care about any of that,
well-adjusted individual, you're not still listening in an hour 33 minutes.
Yes. If you have the top contributor badge on Beaver Facebook, if that's your badge when you post, just stop. We're not going to continue because we're not going to get along with this. But no, it's the Digital Dam on Twitter. You can go ahead and look it up. I'm sure you'll find some of my tweets because it's pretty hard to not miss the ones that I'm wrong on. But I would say, if anything, follow the Damnation NIL accounts. Really, really support them more than anything else because that matters more than my own stupid ass takes, for sure.
Of course. And where can people go to support Damnation?
You can go to any one of the Twitters, Instagrams, our website, damnationnil.com for the website. Twitter's that's the handle. Instagram, that's the handle. There's links in there for you to buy things. There's links in there for you to kind of support, with contributions, monthly, yearly, or one time. So all of that's going to live in there, but it'll be in those sites. So
excellent. Well, thank you again, our friend, for joining in.
Appreciate it.
It's about damn time. We've had you on here, so thank you for filling in.
I know it's always a long time coming.
Always great catching up with you, and yeah, we'll all be at a game again together sometime soon.
Oh, definitely.
It would have made a lot of sense for that game to be homecoming, but it's not going to be Cards. But maybe another game later on this year.
Shocker.
And JP. Anything else before we get out of here? Anything?
No.
Okay, just do it. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode 162 of the Belligerent Beavs Podcast. PM at the Digital Dam, damnationnil.com. Follow him everywhere. Contribute to the collective and support Damnation in everything that you're doing. Our guy on the ones and twos, handling everything, JP Bertram. That's at the Trial J on Twitter. That's at the _Trial_J, because he's too trial to be real. And he's at JP Bertram on Instagram. Why am I bungling this so much? I don't know. It's a different order. My square is normally on the right. Next time it's on the left. It's all a thing. But anyway, that guy who is messing up the outro is Terry Horstman. That's me, at Terry Horstman on Twitter and at Terrence Horstman on Instagram.com. And please follow the show everywhere on Twitter at Bellig Beavs, at Belligerent Beavs, everywhere else. That's, the Facebook, where people with the top contributor bad. We don't really get that on Facebook, but maybe we should. What if we went just leaned hard into Facebook? JP.
Yeah.
We're a Facebook
contributor, top everything.
Facebook. Did you successfully start a MySpace page for us last week when we were joking about it?
I never got a confirmation email after I signed up. It's just dead, I think.
Still waiting for confirmation. Well, no, MySpace sends it through the mail. So that little slot in your door that you've never checked, look in there, JP. There might be a form for you to sign.
My God, I got a letter from MySpace.
A letter from Tom. No, Tom's just gonna show up at your door. You'll see him in the Ring camera.
I'm just confirming you really want a MySpace account. Yeah. I'll be your friend.
Still, anything. I'm just walking from house to house and whatever. YouTube. All the shit's on YouTube. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you hear a podcast. 5 stars really helps us grow the show a lot. We've been sitting on 80 ratings on Spotify. Let's get that to 100. Let's get that to 100 by the time we're 6-2. Come on. What are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing here? belligerentbeavs.com, belligerentbeavs.com/merch. Thank you again for tuning in to the show. Have a great homecoming weekend. I am supremely jealous of all of you who are going to Corvallis, but I've got WNBA finals to cover, so can't do it. But thank you for tuning into the show. We're going to beat UNLV 5-2. Count it. Go Beavs. Remember, no matter what they say, no matter what they take away, they can't spell chop 'em without hope. So chop 'em.
Chop 'em.
Chop 'em. There we go.
Beavs back and go Lynx. Woo!